Tonight on Husky Vision 360, we compare Huskies pitcher Dominic Osting to one of the greats. What makes him so much like Roy Halladay? And then center Sean Smith has himself among the Husky heroes. But first, Ryan Poehling's deceptive style. What makes the Montreal draft pick so dangerous? That's now on Husky Vision 360. Welcome to Husky Vision 360, the show where we break down the nuances of the game. I'm your host, Rachel Herzog. On this show, we will cover everything from hockey to soccer and everything in between here at St. Cloud State University, and to show you the science of why some of the best athletes in the country succeed at the highest level. I'm joined today in the studio with Husky Productions host Joe Scarella to talk more about Ryan Poehling.
Glad I could be here, Rach. It's going to be good. We're going to break down Ryan Poehling and his style. He has one of the most deceptive styles of any forward in college hockey, and at the Division I level, that's so important.
So looking at Ryan Poehling's season and in past seasons, you can tell as a forward that he is very deceptive, like you said. But as a defender, like I am on the women's hockey team, a focus for a defender is to look at the chest. But Ryan's so deceptive that he always throws them off. So could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Rachel. And you said it, as you would know, as a defender in college hockey, and we're going to step inside our Husky Vision 360. Ryan Poehling has to do one thing, and that's to separate himself from a defender on a rush. And a defender's focus, like Rachel mentioned, is in on the chest. So how does a big forward like Ryan Poehling able to separate himself? Well, it's deception between the head, the shoulders, and the hands. And Ryan is so good at never having his hands and his shoulders going the same way. When his hands move one way, his head is coming the other, and he pulls defenders away. And on a one-on-two, you can see it all the time because Ryan Poehling has the ability to look inside the corner and know, one of the smartest college hockey minds that we've seen, his ability to know where he's going to go with the puck prior to his movement. His hands are so fast, which is structured especially through his game. So it's really been big for the Huskies to have him and his style, and he's such a big guy and so hard to take down for defenders, not to mention his size. That's just impossible for a defender to take down one-on-one.
Right, so he's obviously been a huge threat in college hockey, but he's also participated in World Juniors, and we saw that he was very good at handling top threat of other people.
Top threats, yeah. Absolutely. Top threats in college hockey and at World Juniors. And when you mention him being one of the most NHL-ready players, that is, as a forward, he reminds me of guys like Nick Bukestad, who played for the Gophers and now is in the NHL with the Florida Panthers, and Blake Wheeler, another Gopher, who they've said was one of the most NHL-ready players coming out of college. And it has nothing to do with just their size and structure, their ability to win puck battles in the corner. When they get knocked off the puck, they don't give up. It's the Sidney Crosby mentality, I like to say. Tenacity on the puck, and their ability to keep their head and shoulders in front of a guy is especially important. And you'll see that there's a lot of good college hockey players, but Ryan Poehling is one of the top-notch guys at being able to win battles in the corner and set up his team on the offensive rush.
Right, so you talked a lot about Ryan's athleticism and able to handle the puck well, but he really compares to another player on the SCSU hockey team, which is Blake Lizotte. They both do really well in the NCHC, which is one of the biggest leagues in the NCAA. Do you want to kind of compare those two? My
goodness, Blake Lizotte, when you mention him, he's one of the best players, if not the best in college hockey, at sticking with the puck, and Ryan Poehling is just as good as that as well. So those two players are a dual threat for the Huskies. To have those guys on two separate lines, two centers who can win draws and battle in the corner, to give guys like Patrick Newell, Robbie Jackson chances in front of the zone. Blake Lizotte is spectacular at that, and Ryan Poehling is just the exact same kind of player. The only difference is their height, obviously, as Ryan Poehling is gigantic compared to Blake Lizotte, and that's what makes him so offensively sound. Is you combine his height with his ability to stick on that puck and give his other forwards an opportunity. There's nobody more dangerous in college hockey than Ryan Poehling.
I totally agree. Well, thank you, Joe, for joining us here. And when we come back, Nick Speliopoulos gives us the breakdown on why Sean Smith has the skill set to top opposing defenders in the paint. And later, Hans Bristol covers what it takes out on the soccer field. Stay with us on Husky Vision 360. Welcome back to Husky Vision 360. Now we got to hear the inside scoop of Ryan Poehling out on the ice. Now we're going to take a look at what it takes out on the court. I'm joined now with Nick Speliopoulos to get more about the Huskies center, Sean Smith.
That's absolutely right, Rachel. He's been such a dominating force for the Huskies this season.
So, looking at Sean's play, how does his athleticism translate onto the court?
You know, one of the biggest things that Sean Smith is good at is he's great at playing defense. And if we look in Husky Vision 360, he has the ability to block shots left and right. And when I mean block shots, I don't mean to just put a fingertip on the ball to misdirect it. He will send the basketball into the bench, into the fans. He's a dominating force on defense. He led the team in blocks with 113, and that wasn't even close to Gage Davis, who came in second. And he's also able to get his hands in the passing lanes to get steals as well. He finished third on the team with those. That's
incredible. So now looking at his abilities as a basketball player, how does he translate those into offense?
Well, a lot of people will tend to focus on his defense. Like we mentioned, his shot blocking ability is next to none other in college basketball, but he also uses his offensive skills. He's so fast that he can get out in transition, and he can most of the time throw down a dunk, or as you can see, he uses his defensive skills to create offensive chances for himself. You can see he'll get his hands in the passing lane, create a steal for himself, and take it 3/4 of the court all the other way for a slam dunk.
Okay, Nick, so looking at Sean's stature as a center, normally you would expect a tall, pretty big guy to be driving the basket. So with his slim body, how is that an advantage for him?
You know, a lot of people will focus on the fact that he does have a slender body. He's 6'8", 195 pounds, and you kind of mentioned his shoulders aren't as broad as most centers in college basketball, but he doesn't let that affect how he plays. And Sean Smith is so fast, like we mentioned, he can just use his slender body. He uses that as an advantage for himself as speed. Like we mentioned, he can go across the court really fast and throw down a slam dunk, but at the same time, he can sit on the perimeter as a center, which you don't see very often, because if that happens, you pull the 5 out to guard him and he could just blow by on a drive, but at the same time, he moves around the court. He can stop on a dime, and even in double team situations, you might underestimate him because he has a smaller body for a center, but he's proven time and time again that a double team doesn't even matter. He can finish or draw contact and get a foul.
Awesome. Thank you for being with us here, Nick. And when we return, Alex Cotter gives us the insider on Dominic Austin's strong presence on the mound. That's next on Husky Vision 360. Now moving to the outdoor sports, we're joined now by Alex Cotter, who talks about Husky baseball pitcher Dom Austin and his performance on the mound.
Yeah, Rachel, Dom Austin is one of the most dominant pitchers in the NSIC. It's been showing every year. He keeps getting better and better. He's that senior presence on that team, and he is a lights-out pitcher.
What makes him so good?
Well, you know, he tends to use his arm strength. He has one of the best bodies on the team for being a pitcher, and it makes him so dominant. And it's really hard for some of these hitters to catch up with his speed at this level.
So you said he was a senior, correct? So how is he performing in his senior season this year?
So right now he is a 2.73 ERA. He's 3-0, and he's leading the team with 40 strikeouts, which is one of the highest in the NSIC.
So you said he's a pitcher. So how is he able to use and mix his pitches during an at-bat?
Well, he does it just like Roy Halladay, and I like to compare him to that. And his two best pitches are his sinker, which is held like this. We'll step in the Husky Vision 360 here. He uses a sinker, which is gripped like this, and he uses his changeup, which is gripped like this, to strike out the batters. And you never really know where he's going during the at-bat, because he has 4 pitches along with the sinker and the changeup. He has the 4-seam fastball, and he has a curveball just like Roy Halladay had. And it's really hard to hit a pitcher with 3+ pitches. You never know what they're going to pitch, and that's why he's so good. We'll take a look at a game from this weekend. Dom Austin strikes out a guy with an off-speed pitch, and it kind of gets it going for him. And then later in that very inning, he goes to a fastball. So he really changes everything up. And keeping hitters guessing is one of the best things you can do as a pitcher, and it'll lead and make you have a lot of success in such a great conference like the NSIC.
Right. And you also started to talk about how you compare him a lot to professional player Roy Halladay. Could you explain a little bit more how you think they're similar?
Well, it goes back to how they mix their pitches and the pitches that they throw. Roy is one of the greatest pitchers of all time. He's thrown multiple no-hitters, even one in the playoffs. He's thrown perfect games, multiple Cy Young Award winners. He is, it's honestly really rare to compare someone to Roy Halladay because he was just so unique.
Well, thank you for being with us, Alex.
No problem.
And up next, we got Hans Bristol to give us more about what it takes to be a natural goal scorer out on the field. We'll be right back.
Patriotism. It inspires passionate debate, and it's worn like a badge of honor with good reason, because it means love and devotion for one's country. But what really makes up this country of ours? It's the people. To love America is to love all Americans. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, sexuality, disability, race, religion, and other labels. Because love has no labels.
Now shifting from the diamond to the pitch, we're now joined by Hans Bristol to show us how each player can become an offensive threat on the field. Hi, Hans.
Hi, Rachel. How are you?
I'm doing great. So looking at soccer, what is the key factor for attacking players when creating chances when trying to score inside of the box?
Well, the biggest thing is going to start from the vision in your midfielders. Obviously, they're going to be really looking to generate that ball forward and just trying to find those gaps in the defense. And when they do that, that's going to give them a great opportunity to be able to find space inside of the box and score those goals, obviously. But there's got to be that communication starting from a lot of your central defensive midfielders and even from your attacking midfielders that are going to play forward.
Okay, so now looking at the Huskies women's soccer team, how does Husky star Hannah Marion's skill set play into such consistent goal scoring?
Well, Hannah's finishing ability is absolutely the top on that team. She's got confidence when she's got the ball at her feet and she's moving into the attacking area. What you're going to see from her, even moving into this upcoming season, she's only going to be growing those abilities more. And playing with a consistent midfield core from last season, Hannah Marion's scoring ability is going to continue and grow, and she's going to gain a lot more confidence when the ball is at her feet moving into the box.
Okay, so looking at different positions on the soccer field, how can midfielders generate offensive threats?
Again, it's going to come down to that communication and vision. If you watch the women's national team for U.S. soccer, of course, they're headed to a World Cup this summer. They do such a great job of finding those players that have that type of not only athletic ability, but vision is really important when you're moving the ball forward. And Alex Morgan's going to be one of those players on the U.S. national team that for years has been so consistent in the NWSL. She's approaching 100 goals for the U.S. soccer team. They're a great, great team to watch if you're looking for that midfield to be attacking, to get the ball forward and find those spaces and obviously put up a lot of goals on defenders.
So you started talking a little bit more about Alex Morgan. How can you compare natural goal scorers to her?
Well, Alex Morgan is so prolific when it comes to when the ball is at her feet. And when the ball is at Alex Morgan's feet, she has the confidence and the ability to push upfield. And that's so important because you have to be able to attack those defenders, but you have to be smart about it. She's going to give you consistent shots on goal. And I even think of St. Cloud State's Hannah Marion. She does that as well. She's so smart. She knows where she's at on the field really at all times, and even moving into the attacking side of things. And I think both for Hannah, obviously who's much younger than Alex Morgan, but there are certain things in their game that I really enjoy watching both and are very similar to both players.
Well, thank you for joining us, Hans. And that does it here for Husky Vision 360. Tune in next time to hear more about SCSU's top athletes. See you next time.